So let's talk about now. Not 1865, not 1964. Now, 2025. Because if you're still hearing people say, "But Lincoln freed the slaves," while their party's banning black history, gutting voting rights, and calling Juneteenth woke, you got your answer where the political part the Republicans stand. And this isn't about history. It's the power. And the modern Republican Party, they're not hiding racism anymore. Come on, they're so open about it. They're redefining it. They're rebranding it as patriotism. Yeah, Hitler also said Jews were the problem, and they call it patriotism. You guys don't see a pattern here? Come on. And this segment is about the war on racial truth happening right now in schools and legislatures and voting booths and in our own libraries. And I need you to hear this. This isn't just policy, it's an ideological project, a purge to control what gets taught, who gets heard, and who gets to be seen as American. Let's break this down. Let's start with the most foundational right in democracy, the vote. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 was supposed to end racial voter suppression, poll taxes, literacy tests, intimidation, all that. But here's the thing. You don't need a poll tax when you have voter ID laws, gerrymandering, poll closures, and mass voter purges. Since the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in Shelby versus Holder in 2013, over 30 states have introduced new restrictions that disproportionately affect Black, Latino, Native, and young voters. Let me give you some examples. Georgia passed the SB 202, which makes it illegal to give water to voters waiting in line, knowing damn well the lines in black neighborhoods are longer by hours. Texas passed the SB 1, banning 24-hour voting and drive-through voting, both of which were heavily used by Black and Latino voters in Harris County during the 2020 election. Florida purged hundreds of thousands from voter rolls, many of them black, and arrested people for illegal voting despite state records showing they were clear to vote. North Carolina tried to pass a voter ID law that a federal judge said targeted African Americans with an almost surgical precision. And what is the GOP's justification? Election integrity. Let me translate that for you. We lost in black cities, so we're going to make sure fewer black people vote next time. That's what they're saying. That's not integrity. That's suppression with a suit on. They're a bunch of hypocrites, narcissist assholes. Next up, the classroom. Because if you want to control the future, you control the kids. That's what they want. Right now, we're watching a full-blown war on public education. And it's not just about curriculum. It's about the control. Let's start with my favorite state, because why not? Texas. Governor Greg Abbott banned the AP African American Studies pilot course in 2023. Why? Because it included topics like intersectionality, the history of police brutality, the legacy of slavery beyond just emancipation, contemporary movements like Black Lives Matter. According to Texas officials, those weren't educational, they were political. Let me be clear. If teaching the full truth about slavery, racism, and resistance is too political for your classroom, then your politics are the problem. And it's not just Texas. Florida under Ron DeSantis. Oh God, the top 10 of he's numbered top 3 of most hated person in this podcast. He has removed over 1,000 books from public school libraries, many of them about Black, Brown, and LGBTQ plus experiences. Florida's new social studies standard now teach that I'm not making this up, guys. That slaves develop skills that could be used for their personal benefit. Excuse me? This isn't just ignorance. This is intentional distortion, a rebranding of chattel's slavery as a kind of unpaid internship. And it's not happening in isolation. Books about Ruby Bridges are being banned. Books about Martin Luther King Jr. are under review. And educators are being told to stop using terms like white privilege or systemic racism. I mean, right now the U.S. Army got rid of Jackie Robinson because that was too DEI. And do you think that's about helping kids? Fuck no. No, it's about creating a version of America where racism is ancient history and everyone is still talking about it is the real problem. They just want to say racism was never a thing. That slavery was just a little blip in the system. Now let's talk about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. The latest GOP boogeyman. In 2023 and 2024 alone, at least 17 Republican-led states passed laws restricting or banning DEI programs at public universities and government offices. Let me tell you, that happened here in Oklahoma because that's what it is. Let me remind you that what DEI programs actually do. Recruit and retain diverse students and faculty. Support marginalized communities. Offer training on bias and harassment. Help build campuses that reflect the real demographics of the country. College should be a melting pot where anybody who comes from just a white neighborhood, they can come to a college and realize that the world is in this country is more than just your white fucking neighborhood. Vice versa. But now, Florida defunded DEI offices at every public college. Same thing with the federal government. Texas passed a law banning any DEI segments in university hiring. Oklahoma's governor banned DEI in all state agencies. That's Stitt, Governor Stitt, if you want to know who that is. As we like to call him here in Oklahoma, Governor Shithead. And across the country, conservative think tanks are pushing model legislations to do the same everywhere else. Why? Because DEI threatens the narrative that everything's already equal. Because they know that if you teach young people how inequality works, they might stop accepting it. And let's be clear, the real goal isn't to end wokeness. The goal is to end the awareness. If people can't name injustice, they can't fight it. And if they can't fight it, the status quo stays safe for the few that actually benefits. Who are they? The rich 1%, usually just white Republicans. Duh. And let's take a minute to talk about symbolism. The GOP's new move is to take every form of racial justice and brand it as anti-American. Juneteenth, too divisive. Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. Oh, disrespecting the troops. Oh. BLM protests, a bunch of Marxists, riots, and a bunch of thugs. Teaching about redlining or police brutality, hate-filled propaganda. The same people who say we're the party of Lincoln are now mocking the federal holiday celebrating the end of slavery. You can't make this up. And don't even get me started on the flag. You know what the real patriotism is? Telling the truth about your country, wanting to live up to its promises, and holding the accountable when it fails. But the GOP isn't promoting patriotism. They're pushing nationalism, the kind that needs enemies to survive. And right now, the enemy is anyone who remembers how we got here. And let's not pretend this just started with Trump. But let's not ignore what he did. Trump mainstreamed white grievances. He turned racism into campaign strategy. Not just background noise, but the point. He called COVID the China virus and stoked anti-Asian violence. He refused to condemn white supremacists in Charlottesville. He targeted black cities in every bogus election fraud claim. He said Haitian immigrants, they all have AIDS and they're eating pets. He said Nigerian immigrants will never go back to their huts. And he launched his political career on the lie that the first black president wasn't born in America. And guess what? That fucking worked because, yeah. Also, the Democratic Party didn't do themselves any favor by stopping Bernie Sanders from winning. Anyways, and because the racial resentment mobilized voters, it energized the base. It gives them something to fight against, someone to blame. And the playbook didn't die in 2020. It's alive here and now. More than bad, it's horrible now. In 2025, in school board races, city council, state houses, and governor's mansions. So here we are, 2025, where a political party that claims to love Lincoln is banning books about slavery, purging voters from rolls, firing teachers for discussing race, or just treating treating students with respect because they're human beings as well. Shutting down diversity programs, mocking Juneteenth, and blaming wokeness for everything wrong with the world. And you want the quote? Because here's a quote. If the party that freed the slaves now bans books about slavery, you have your answer. You can call yourself pro-Black history when you're erasing it. You can't pretend to love America while trying to bend half of its story. You can't claim to be colorblind while building a whole political identity around color-coded fear. This isn't about left versus right. It's about truth versus erasure, justice versus denial, belonging versus exclusion. And they're not hiding racism anymore. They're repacking it as common sense or parental rights or patriotism. But don't be fooled. Because when they come for the books, they come for the voters. When they come for the curriculum, they come for your kids. When they come for DEI, they come for who gets to lead, who gets to belong, and who gets remember. This isn't just politics. It's a memory warfare. And we're not losing ours here.